What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 10th Doctor David Tennant story, School Reunion. It is episode 3 of series 2, should I say. And this is one that I've always really liked. It, of course, reintroduces Sarah Jane Smith to Doctor Who since, her last appearance in the classic series, brings her to the new series, first time that we have a character from the, not just like a villain. First time we've had a character from the classic series come into the more modern series. Of course, brings back K9 as well. And yeah, it is, on the most part, an episode that I have always really quite liked. So without further ado, let's get into the cast. David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. He is so good in this one. I mean, he's pretty much always good. There isn't a moment that I can think of that David Tennant isn't good in a story. And he is my favourite Doctor, like I've said many a time. But in this one especially, alongside Billy Piper, alongside Elizabeth Sladen, Noel Clarke, he's just, and I mean, alongside Anthony Head as well as the main Krillitane, master kind of character. Not the Krillitane master, that's not the right way to say it, but, the main, the headmaster, I guess that's what I was trying to say, of the school. He is so good against everyone. The chemistry with everyone in this story is so good. He has some great moments, the funny moments, the serious moments. He's just really good, as always. Billy Piper as Rose Tyler, also very good in this story. Doesn't really take a back seat. This is a story where I think, you've basically got three companions, K9 if you count him as a companion, but I'm not going to. So 3 companions in this story, and I think all 3 of them are, they all have a reasonable amount to do for this story. I think it could have been very easy for this one to focus a lot on Sarah Jane and kind of neglect the other 2, but it doesn't. I don't think it does. I think all 3 of them have a decent amount to do. Rose is, if anything, possibly the one that is to the side the most out of the 3, even to Mickey in some ways. But yeah, she's really good. Noel Clarke as Mickey Smith. I don't have a lot to say about Mickey. He's good in this one. It is one of his better ones because, he has a bit more to do with, the kind of, he's kind of the one in between with the bickering between Rose and Sarah. He has the moment with K9, the whole thing about we're in a car, that whole thing, the tin dog thing. Mickey has quite a lot of good stuff going on here. And then we also have Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. So awesome to see her back in the series here. Of course, this kicked off the Sarah Jane Adventures, the spin-off series, which was awesome. And yeah, Elizabeth Sladen, she just is straight back into the role. She's so good. Her chemistry with David Tennant is, honestly, I'd say just as good as with Tom Baker. Maybe that's controversial to say, but I think they both, she has great chemistry with Tom Baker, of course, and with David Tennant as well. It's just as good for me. I mean, yeah, really good. Right, so on to some points about this story. The Doctor is undercover as a teacher. So I love the start of the story when you have the Doctor in a class teaching physics, the whole physics. I hope you're writing this down. I love that. I think it's funny. It's hilarious. It's very doctory. And yeah, just the Doctor being a teacher with the glasses on and everything, he works. I could just totally see him being the silly, wacky teacher at my school. It really suits David Tennant, to be honest. The return of Sarah Jane Smith. Yep, so Sarah Jane is back. I don't really have a lot to say about this because we just talked about Sarah Jane Smith, but awesome once again to see her back in the series. Rose and Sarah arguing about the Doctor. I love this scene. The main scene where they're, having a bit of a, what is it? They're going on about, Sarah's like, well, no, it's Rose that's like, I've never heard of you. And Sarah's like, I've travelled with him, travelled with the Doctor for ages. And Rose, yep, never mentioned you. And then they start going on about, the different monsters that they've, gone against. And it's that end bit where Sarah Jane's like, the Loch Ness Monster. And Rose is like, what? And they start having a bit of a laugh with each other. It's the rivalry between them two, but what it turns into later on is really good. The return of K9, of course, we have K9 back in this story. Now, I didn't know before going back and watching most of the classic series, I've still got a few to watch, but I have watched a majority of the classic series now. K9 was not actually a part of Sarah Jane's original run. And I haven't seen Canine and Company. I have it. I haven't quite got around to watch it yet. I should really get to that soon because it's only a short, like, one episode thing. So I should really get onto that. But yeah, Canine was not invented when Sarah Jane left the TARDIS. Canine was not even a thing yet. He came into it in The Invisible Enemy with Leela, the next companion after Sarah, and then Canine kind of went on through and was eventually given to Romana, wasn't he? So Sarah Jane never even saw K9, but I'm not 100% sure what happens in K9 and Company, but she manages to get a K9 from somewhere, and I assume the doctor's given K9 to her or something. I can't quite remember what happened with K9, to be completely honest, but yeah, K9's back, and I love K9. He's so good. I love him here. They're fixing him up. He's funny, and yeah. The Krillitane take on the form of other races they destroy. So the Krillitane, as a monster, I'm actually a little bit surprised we haven't seen them again. We get mention of the Doctor saying that he's seen the Krillitane before, but they've got really long necks. Now, I don't think there is a classic story with the Krillitane. So whether it's like a extended media thing, like a Big Finish, or like a novel thing maybe, or comics, I don't really know, because I don't think they've actually been in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but yeah, I'm surprised they haven't brought the Krillitane back at any point, because they are supposedly this race that can turn into anything. Their natural look is kind of the bat-like creatures, although I think the Doctor says at one point they didn't used to have wings, so now when he's having the conversation with Anthony Head's character, which I can't remember the name other than the headmaster, he talks about, oh yes, we've now got wings. They've taken that from another race. Basically, what they do is they take parts from other races that they conquer and destroy, take those bits for themselves, and then they can kind of shift into other forms. As here, they're shifting into shape-shifting into humans. So, kind of surprised we haven't seen the Krillitane again. I don't really know what you do with them in another story, but it's something to think about. Rose and Sarah laughing about the Doctor. So we had the whole thing about them arguing earlier, and then later on they start laughing at each other, and Sarah's like, does he still do that thing where he touches the TARDIS and all that sort of stuff, and all this funny stuff, and then the Doctor walks in and they're just laughing their heads off. The Doctor's like, whoa, what's going on? They're just laughing. Love that scene. The Krillitane are using the kids to solve an equation to give them power to take control of the universe. Now, I do find this a little bit strange and perhaps far-fetched. I still don't 100% understand how it works, but basically they've managed to, they need to figure out this equation which will give them power to basically control the whole universe, but they need a bunch of kids on this Krillitane oil stuff that makes them really smart to punch in a bunch of things on a computer to find this equation. It doesn't really make any sense to me, but I don't know. It makes for an interesting concept, but it is a little bit like, okay, how does that work? What's going on there? The Krillitane are poisonous to their own oil. So earlier on in the episode, we see someone get the oil poured all over them, and then it's like they're screaming and dying, and we're wondering what's going on. It turns out they're actually poisonous to their own oil, and yeah, I can't remember exactly why that is. I don't know if it's because they've kind of mutated so much that they've become poisonous to it, or if they've always been poisonous to it. I can't quite remember, but it is interesting, and that is how they get defeated in the end. K9 is destroyed, killing the Krillitane. So yes, the Doctor finally, he fixes up K9 for Sarah, but then to solve everything, to make sure everything's good again, he leaves K9 in the building, in the school, and K9 shoots the barrel, one of the barrels of Krillitane oil. It explodes it and kills all the Krillitane. A little bit, I do find it a bit like, okay, the Doctor's just, basically killed this whole, it's basically a genocide. There might be other Krillitane elsewhere, I assume, but he has basically killed all these Krillitane here. So it's a little bit like, is that something the Doctor would really do? I don't know, but yeah, K9 gets destroyed because he blows up in that explosion as well, and it's a lovely little sacrifice, and I love the moment where, Anthony Head's character's like, "You bad, bad dog." And K9's like, "Affirmative," and just blows up. It's so good. The Doctor builds a new K9 for Sarah. So yes, the episode ends. Sarah's really sad because K9 is gone. And they're just like, "Oh, it's only a stupid tin dog anyway." The Doctor then says goodbye to Sarah. The TARDIS fades away, and right there is a new K9, brand new model of K9, and he will now be with Sarah in all her adventures in the Sarah Jane Adventures. I think it's a lovely, lovely end to this episode. We will see more of Sarah Jane later on in the series, and of course in the Sarah Jane Adventures, but I love the end. It's so good. The whole, goodbye, actually say goodbye this time. Goodbye, because he didn't really say goodbye last time. Yeah, it was a really nice end. So there we have it. That is School Reunion, an episode that I used to really, really enjoy. And although there are a couple of little flaws here and there, I still really enjoy it. I think this is such a good episode. It is definitely my favorite of this series so far, of series 2, as the first 2 episodes have let me down a little bit, to be honest, from what I used to think of them. This one, though, still sits just as high as it always did. So a rating out of 10 for School Reunion, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It is not a perfect story, like I said. The whole taking over the world with this equation thing is a little bit far-fetched for me. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And the Doctor just blatantly destroying all the Krillitane is a little bit like, I don't know how I feel about that. But other than that, it's enjoyable. There's some great funny moments, some great serious moments. The whole cast is very, very good, and on the most part have plenty to do throughout. So yeah, a 9 out of 10 for School Reunion. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.